Today we're looking at using right triangle trigonometry to find a missing side. So grab a pen or pencil and your notes and we'll get started shortly. The first thing we need to do is you need to make sure that on your calculator you have it set to be in degree mode. The way that you can do this is by going to mode on your calculator, which is right here, scrolling down until you see the radian degree. Make sure that degree is highlighted. This will make sure that all your answers are correct. Also, if you would like, you can go ahead and set your float to 3. This will give us 3 decimal places out, and all of your answers today need to be rounded to the thousandths. So that will ensure that that's done for you. So what I want you to do now is I want you to enter each of these into your calculator and round to the nearest thousandths. Cosine of 45, the sine of 36, the tangent of 18, and the sine of 18. What I'm getting you to see is that the cosine of 45-degree angle actually has a numeric value that goes right here. So if you plug that into your calculator, cosine of 45, you're going to hit the cosine button, 45. You can close the parentheses or not, that's up to you. Once you hit enter, you'll get a value of 0.707. So the cosine of 45 degrees is 0.070. Sorry, 0.707. Do the sine of 36, 0.588. That's what you get. The tangent of 18 in your calculator, 0.325. And then the sine of 18 in your calculator, 0.309. So those all actually have numeric values that they equate to. Don't forget that the sine, or that sine, cosine, and tangent are ratios of sides. Sine is the ratio of opposite to hypotenuse over hypotenuse. Cosine is the adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is the opposite over adjacent. These are very important for us for today. So there's some steps to finding a missing side that you can follow. First, label the hypotenuse of the right triangle. Second, mark the acute angle that you're going to use for this problem. It's normally going to be given as a degree measure. It's not going to tell you find the sine of A. It's going to say find the value of X, and you're going to need to know what angle you're using. Number 3, label the legs in relation to the angle that you just marked and that you're going to use. 4, circle the sides you're going to use to make the trig function work. 5, decide which trig function you can make with those sides, either sine, cosine, or tangent. 6, write the setup equation using variables for a missing side. Normally that variable is x. 7, solve the equation for the missing side using your algebra steps to get the calculator ready equation. And then 8, you just type it into your calculator and get your answer. So let's look at example 1. It says find x. So first thing we need to do is label our hypotenuse. Next step is to mark the angle we're working with. You notice this angle has 34 degrees written, so that's the angle we'll use. Then we need to label our sides. AC is the adjacent. The BC side is your opposite side. Now we need to determine which trig function we're going to use. The adjacent doesn't give us any information. We're given the hypotenuse and the opposite. So we're using opposite and hypotenuse, which is sine. If you'll remember from the chart, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So if you look, we're working with sine because we have the hypotenuse and the opposite. So we know that the sine of the angle, which is 34, is equal to the opposite, which is x, over our hypotenuse, which is 13. Now we need to solve for x because that's what we're looking to find. We want to know what that missing side length is. Multiply by 13 on both sides. So you have 13 times the sine of 34 is equal to x. If you plug that into your calculator just how it is, exactly how it is, 13 sine 34, you'll get x is equal to 7.270. On our next example, We're going to do the same steps. Our hypotenuse is right here. This is the angle we're working with. This would be our adjacent. This side would be our opposite. So if you look, your hypotenuse gives you no information. We've got the adjacent and we have the opposite. So we're working with tangent. So we know that the tangent of 67 degrees is equal to my opposite side, which is 18, over my adjacent side, which is x. If you notice, this problem's a little different because the x is on the bottom. I'll show you the trick in just a second, but to mathematically work this out, you'd multiply by x. So you have x times the tangent of 67 is equal to 18. We got to get x by itself, so then we would divide by the tangent of 67. So x is equal to 18 divided by the tangent of 67. And if you'll notice, this equation right here and this equation right here, there's one thing that you've done. You've switched the x and the tangent of 67. So if ever x is on the bottom, you can just switch those. So if you type that into your calculator, 18 divided by the tangent of 67, your x value, 7.641. Example 3. Here's your hypotenuse. This is the angle we're working with. Here's your adjacent. Here's your opposite. Okay. Again, the hypotenuse gives us no information, but we do have your opposite and your adjacent, so we're working with tangent. The tangent of 43 is equal to your opposite value, which is x, over your adjacent, which is 9. Solve for x by multiplying each side by 9. So you have 9 times the tangent of 43 is equal to x. So x is equal to 8.393. If you look at your last example, you got to start by labeling your hypotenuse. Mark your angle. Label your other sides opposite and adjacent. Determine which trig function we're going to use. We have hypotenuse and we have opposite. The adjacent does nothing for us, so we're looking at sine. So the sine of the angle is equal to your opposite, which is 20, over your adjacent, which is x. This is the same situation we had earlier where x is on the bottom. So all you have to do is switch these two. So x is equal to 20 divided by the sine of 52. If you type that in your calculator, 20 divided by the sine of 52, you get x equals 25.380. That's it for today. If you have any questions, go back and rewatch the video, or you can shoot me an email if you need to. Good luck.